When it comes to improved click rates, generally emails that are between 400 and 2,000 characters have the best click rate. So those are, pretty short, smaller emails. So I think here the key is that capturing attention quickly is the key to click-throughs. Remember that subject line also plays a big role in clicks because if your recipients aren't opening the message, then they're not clicking. So again, you want to make sure that the subject line is compelling and it drives people to open the message. And then once opened, the message content needs to be really relevant and convincing with the value proposition and any calls to action up front and center. The placement of your calls to action is really important because if they're not obvious or upfront, then people won't see them and they won't draw any attention. So be sure to use buttons and images as well as interesting button text. So instead of just a button that says click here to register, try a button that says something like count me in, I'll be there, something that's a little bit more descriptive and fun. And then I also want to just point out that it's important to always design with mobile in mind. So make sure that your messages are simple and organized and that links have a lot of white space around them so that they're easy to click when they're being viewed on those smaller mobile devices.
Yeah, great call outs. Diving into day of the week. And this one, I will say, this data is always a little ambiguous because you can't tell exactly if the message was sent versus when it was opened or clicked. Like it gets a little muddy. So don't take day of the week as a very prescriptive thing. We're not telling you to send on these days. This is more like a food for thought thing that can trigger maybe some inspiration for you. So Saturdays this year had the highest open rate, but that was very close to Tuesday through Friday. So truly, it was more that the low performers stood out. So Sunday and Monday had the lowest open rates. Wednesdays had the highest click rates, which is actually the same as last year. So to me, that's a data point that then tickles something in my brain that, oh, it's the same. So maybe there is something to be said for Wednesday being a day people might click. But again, this isn't prescriptive. It's going to depend on your association. You might see that you have different days that are important to your association. And so you probably want to look at your own data. Allison, is there anything you would add on that front?
Yeah, I think, obviously we talk about optimal timing a lot. In addition to the day of the week, you can also think about time of day because that can play a big role in when things get opened and clicked. And while there's no single time of day that applies to everyone, there have been a lot of studies that say mornings and late afternoon are the best times of day to send. So basically the start of the day, and then again, when things begin to wind down at the end of the day. And if you look at your own inbox, you'll probably see that this is pretty true. You generally get a lot of emails first thing in the morning and again, like late in the afternoon or maybe in the evening. So the timing will help when it comes to your messages and getting them to stand out. So it's important to test with your own subscribers to see what works for them. And you need to test, not just once or twice, but test over a few months and review the data over time to make decisions on your own metrics. And I think it's so important to be open to experimenting and sending on different days and times to see what's moving the needle and then adjusting accordingly. And just keep mixing it up from time to time and retest and continue to fine tune. With the message summary report and informs, you're really able to view your own best times of data send based on when you've been sending to your subscribers and when your subscribers have been opening your emails. And you'll want to take into account things like when your members are working and in what types of setting they're working and when their expected downtimes might be. So keep in mind that not everyone's working at a desk between 9 and 5. I just saw a really great example of this recently. An association that I work with that works with nurses had a best time of day to open at 3 a.m. So this tells me that they probably have a lot of people that are working late night or overnight shifts. So that's just something to think about too when you're sending. And you'll also want to take into consideration if your emails are regionally or internationally focused. So consider the time zones and any other geographic differences before sending. You can use things like the automated campaigns to send timely messages and also use the send time optimization tool, which uses historical open data to take the guesswork out of when people are most likely to open. And this is also a really great option when you're sending to people in different time zones.